Our next item on the agenda is our director's report. Good morning, Patrick.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks, everyone, for being here. I want to start by thanking Matt Morrow, thanking David, and thanking Sarah for their presentation and their partnership. The reference that Matt made to the cost share program, having originated here in Springfield, and certainly on the day of an important vote in the region, that program that started here in 1990 took a little hiatus for a couple years. Has produced over $1 billion of projects in Missouri, about $450 million of state and federal funds matched with local resources. That's a spectacular return for the communities that needed those projects desperately, and for the transportation system throughout. You know, that's one of those examples of project-specific problem solving that is vital, helps us in many ways address needs of growing communities that are not met with typical formula funds. And the creativity in the work of this region is really amazing, and you can see it when you travel through and around Springfield, the work that solid professionals in the community work together to support each other and to build this economy here. It's really a vibrant city. It's always fun to be here, and we really do appreciate that work and partnership. Now, that said, as we're working and continue to work through issues, as the Vice Chair said, trying to problem solve and work through and create creative situations and solutions to particular problems. I want to recognize the governor's effort, Governor Parsons' effort, to bring forward, even with a failure at the polls with Prop D, to continue forward the conversation of transportation and to bring a really creative proposal forward for the legislature to consider. His bridge bonding program that would create about $350 million to advance bridge work on about 250 bridge projects throughout the state. That effort, because the project selection was within the already approved 2019 to 2023 STIP, enables a reallocation of that $350 million should this pass, and using the economic development flexible funds formulas that we have, that would certainly bring a nice shot in the arm to this region, as well as regions throughout the state, so divided among the 7 MoDOT districts. That program, in its original proposal, the governor had proposed to use general revenue to pay debt service for 15 years, so $30 million a year for 15 years, a total of $450 million, netting proceeds of that capital markets activity of about $350 to advance those bridge projects. So rural Missouri, in that case, on many of those bridges, gets an advancement of speed of delivery. Urban Missouri gets a resource shot in the arm, and we're working through the planning process with our partners right now. And then a third benefit to that plan is actually that we're able to use the rural component of that plan as a state non-federal match toward federal infra grant application that we feel is pretty competitive and is kind of a Hail Mary to try to help fund the Roachport Bridge. So that work is really important. In the House of Representatives, an alternative plan has been forwarded in the Budget Committee to fund $100 million in fiscal 20 out of general revenue. That's being discussed and debated in the Senate right now. Senator Schatz and the governor's office and leadership in the House are working toward hopefully a solution. What we're seeing is that there's a concern about paying $100 million of interest costs over that 15 years out of general revenue. So we're looking at circumstances to lower the duration of the debt and therefore lower the debt service and the interest payments, and still be able to advance a program of the same size of the governor's. It's good discussions going on. a lot of work to do still as we go through the budget and the legislative session forward. So that's kind of where we stand. We think that maybe there's something with, 6, maybe 7, 8-year duration that could shave nearly $75 million off the total interest. That seems to be working somewhat with the policymakers, and there's still a fair amount to work out. But I know you wanted an update on that. Also, we're working at the federal level. The debate going on is whether or not to advance a transportation package similar to what the administration forwarded last year that didn't really materialize, or to run directly into reauthorization of the FAST Act. The long-term federal funding stability is critical. When we talk about the development needs of Springfield, when we talk about everything we do in the state, what we have truly at risk without measures being forwarded and completed in Washington is that we don't have agreement yet between the administration and Congress on how to fully fund the Highway Trust Fund, and our current surface transportation authorization runs out in 2020. The FAST Act expires in 2020. We also have a $7.6 billion rescission that we need to work through, and we're trying to get Congress to remove. It has project-specific impacts here in Missouri, and we've alerted many of the communities that would have those impacts. And they have alerted Congress of their concerns about that, who alerted me of the concerns that they alerted them. And so now we've got a nice feedback loop working, and we're trying to place the cause and effect exactly where it needs to be, which is on congressional action. We've got a great delegation at work for us in Washington from Missouri, and we're really pleased with the effort. But at risk is a projected $330 million per year of the ability to draw federal funds. And we are working through our planning process to actually show the projects that would be at risk. We're encouraging our other states around the country to do so as well. And the idea is to really take the bull by the horns and to show what the project-specific and community impact would be without congressional action. It's an optimistic view. It's not to forecast gloom and doom. It's to actually prompt and promote action to avoid that circumstance. But it's critically important as we plan for our coming STIP that we understand what those impacts are. So that's it. All does tie together, and it would have substantial impact to the community that we're in, to Springfield, as well as throughout the state. So that's our kind of legislative and federal update. I want to take a minute just to recognize, when we talk, sometimes we do talk a lot about leadership. We talk about direction. We talk about guidance, values of the commission itself and of the department. And I think it's important to recognize from time to time the leadership that we are blessed to receive from the commission. And I want to recognize Greg Smith for his service on the commission. And I'm not forecasting anything here, but particularly his service twice now serving as chairman of the Missouri Highway and Transportation Commission. And that role in a volunteer commission that we ask a lot, and we don't really tell people as much in advance of how much work this is, but it is a lot of work. And the guidance that we receive and the leadership we receive from the commission really does help the organization meet the needs of the communities and be responsive to communities in a way that I think if we were just a standalone agency, that I don't know is we would have the kind of common sense that the commission really expects of us, and that leadership is vitally important. Greg is pretty humble when it comes to talking about his own role and that leadership, but I can tell you with certainty that I have felt it throughout his tenure on the commission since I've been here, and particularly in those periods of time when he was chairman. So from March of 2016 to 2017, and again from March of 2018 to 2019, Greg assumed that chairmanship role, and he's been a vital leader for the organization through a lot of complicated issues. And he has a really effective way of cutting like a knife through butter through complicated issues and getting to the heart of them quickly and expressing that to us in a way that we can move and act. And but it's done with a kind heart and generally a pretty good story. And so we have a lot of fun together, but we do serve the public together, and I think it's that public service that Greg is really going to be remembered for in his role as chairman. You know, in his own business, it's interesting when you get to know some of the people that have worked with Greg. He has an entire staff that's been with him for 20 years. And I really just don't think you can attract that type of loyalty and dedication without caring about the people that you work with. And we feel that on the commission, we feel that in the department as well. And the support of the employees has been tremendous under Greg's leadership, as well as the rest of this commission. And we really appreciate it. We have a small token of appreciation that we'd like to share with you, and it's really limited words because we're a transportation department. We don't know how to spell things out very well. But I tell you what, the words they matter here, and they're limited. And it simply says, Greg Smith, we appreciate your leadership. And that's exactly what we do. We appreciate your leadership. So if everybody could join me in thanking Greg for this time.
You caught me off guard. That's hard to do. Yeah, that's hard to do, but you did catch me off guard. Thank you, Patrick. You know, when you work with an organization like this and the people and the planning partners like Sarah, you know, it makes this job easy. And I do operate sometimes a little fast for you, you know. We operate at Greg Smith Ford and Wilder RV. We're on the now plan right now. That's right. So some of this stuff drives me crazy that they do in Washington, D.C. and in Jefferson City. But, that's right. Anyway, thank you very much. It's very nice. You did catch me off guard. So.
Thanks, Greg. You know, I just want to give a quick update too. We have, I think we've almost fully exercised winter from Missouri, although it's still been a little chilly. Saw a little snow over the weekend, and just want to put just a marker out there to thank our entire organization for the response to a challenging winter. We knew going into this with limited resources, with high turnover, that we had a significant challenge on our hand. The team of MoDOT really responded to that in a way that I think is pretty dramatic. It's amazing to me when you think of, we had an initial storm in Kansas City that was in the Kansas City district in north. That was an absolute blizzard, whiteout. And we had over 175 plow operators, professional operators in that particular first storm that had never plowed before. And you know, we had an amazing response. We had management and the entire team throughout, supervisors in the field, working on training on the job and getting the job done. And the leadership of the commission to recognize that and try to counteract some of the turnover by offering a market adjustment during emergency operations has been well received, and I think well responded to. The crews did a spectacular job. We had a challenging financial winter as well. We're tabulating the numbers, but just about $63 million spent on winter maintenance. And because Mother Nature continues the challenges, we went from winter maintenance one day to flood response the very next. And just want to also thank our crews for moving quickly into that. There's a lot of changes that need to be made with the equipment, a lot of logistics planning going into that. I'd like to just also recognize the real challenges for the communities that we serve, for the people that are seeing and experiencing great damage to their own personal property, to their businesses and to their communities. You know, when we think of what has gone on in Nebraska and Iowa and also in our state, it's also amazing. This past weekend, we spent a lot of time coordinating a lot of farmers in this state and throughout the Midwest. We were opening up permits to move hay to Nebraska and Iowa so that cattle farmers there who could feed their cattle, who desperately were in need of it. The devastation is substantial, and it continues, and we have a lot more to go, I think, in terms of response, probably right through June. You know, we have commissioners here that feel it personally and are leaders in that area. Tom Waters, Terry Ecker, really, it's an amazing community response. People protecting their own property and helping each other, and we're trying as an enterprise to be helpful, but not to be in the way. And we're trying also to plan. We're working with our legislature to provide additional spending authority in fiscal 2020. We know it's going to be needed, and we want to be able to make that available. So just wanted to, again, recognize the staff for that. And I also want to say, you know, as we do those types of things, and you'll hear shortly from our CFO, Brenda Morris, we're also continuing to look at our own enterprise, the expenses, the costs of capital, and we're pretty excited to have a refunding issue that will come before you for consideration that will save some money on interest. Also want to recognize that several MoDOT projects and their contractors have recently been recognized by the National Asphalt Pavement Association for quality construction. You know, when we talk about partnership, we can never forget that the partnership here in Missouri includes our partners in construction. We have a tremendous construction industry that continues to deliver great value projects for Missouri. APAC Central won the Sheldon G. Hayes Award for the highest quality pavement, using over 50,000 tons for a project on U.S. Route 60 in Mansfield. Delta Companies of Cape Girardeau was honored for quality under 50,000 tons for projects on Route 74 in Cape Girardeau County and routes FF and 172 in Wayne and Butler counties. Delta also won the Larry H. Lemon Award for the top asphalt pavement under 50,000 tons for improvements on various roads in Pemiscot County. And Pace Construction was honored for quality over 50,000 tons for a project on U.S. Route 63 in Phelps County. Again, it's outstanding work that's being done. Continue to innovate and working with us, and together the industry is really doing great work on a limited budget. You know, we also continue to receive awards as an organization, and recently Lester Woods and his external civil rights team were honored at the Greater Kansas City chapter of the Women's Transportation Seminar. They were given the Rosa Parks Diversity Leadership Award at the organizational annual awards and scholarship. The award credited MoDOT for significantly contributing to the promotion of diversity, inclusion, and multicultural awareness within its organization, the transportation industry, and projects that support the goals and mission of WTS. So we're really honored. Lester and his team, as well as throughout the organization, I think do a great job, and we're so pleased. Lester's not here with us today, but wanted you to be aware of that award. And also, I'm really pleased to tell you, as we continue our challenges as an organization with turnover, with generational turnover, we also have some great people that are stepping up to the table, and I'm pleased to tell you that Todd Grosvenor has been named our financial services director. I think Todd is here. You all know Todd well. This appointment signals the beginning of the next step in the implementation of our organizational development Assessment and Succession Plan. Todd's been with the department for 29 years. He's worked as an auditor in audits and investigations and served in financial positions in maintenance, design, resource management, and financial services. Todd is a constant source of advice, and I tell you, we rely on him and have for a number of years. I appreciate his talk about the Now Plan. Todd gets it done, and he keeps us from jumping off the cliff. I have some crazy ideas sometimes, and Todd reels me back in appropriately, and he's going to do a great job in this role. So thank you for stepping up and assuming these responsibilities. He's doing a great job, and we're pleased to have him. With that, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Patrick.